you approach your customers or deal with your customers. Sales is adaptive. And I think from the first time, and depending on what your religious beliefs are, but yeah, ever since Eve tried to convince Adam to take a bite of that apple, some human being has been trying to convince another human being of something throughout the whole of human history. And so what I've done, as somebody who's spent over 30 years now in sales training and in sales management, is I went out there, I trawled and was quite open about talking to all of the leading sales trainers around the world that I have access to, being able to pick the eyes out of what they had and be able to put that together into a body of learning, but then also some other more advanced material that I've been working on based on some research done. Anyone heard of a gentleman named Robert Cialdini? Robert Cialdini wrote a book called Influence. And if you actually want to look on Amazon at the moment, there's another fantastic book that he has just put out, came out only in March of this year, called Yes. And it's about the 55 pieces of scientific research on being able to identify what works with persuading people. A lot of times with persuasion and being able to try to convince people of doing things, it has been very intuitive. And I think sales is both an art and a science. And there's a lot of naturally intuitive salespeople out there, but there's also a lot of science behind it. There's been an awful lot of research done about what actually convinces people, what will persuade people. I'll give you an example of that, just off the top of my head. I'm sure you're all familiar with the principle of the WIFM, the W-I-I-F-M. Are you? Which stands for what's in it for me. All sales is based around the WIFM. It's based around the principle that every time somebody is listening to you when you're trying to sell them something, they are looking for an answer to that question. What's in it for me? What can I gain from this? Interestingly, and the assumption based on that is that to be able to convince people to be able to do something different, to be able to change their mindset, to be able to change the way that they're looking at things, we need to be able to offer them something new to be able to convince them to do that. That will act as an incentive for people, but interestingly, the research that Cialdini has done has shown that it is much more powerful for people to be threatened to lose something. The threat of actually losing something that I already have has a much greater persuasive and influential impact on me than the hope of gaining something that I don't already have. Does that make sense? Well, we need to think about that. We need to be aware of that. The other area that I'm very, very interested in at the moment, and Tilt, by the way, Tilt is based on the principle that we've often heard about this myth, this metaphor of the level playing field. And all we've got to do in business is to be able to create a level playing field, and we're all going to be able to go out there and compete on a level playing field. And my attitude is there's never been a level playing field. The rules of sales are not like the rules of sport. Clever salespeople break the rules all the time, and there's no referee to be able to come in there and say, I'm sorry, you can't do that. The rules don't allow for that. The smart salespeople are breaking the rules all the time. And in fact, the alternative title for this, I can say here now, is actually going to be sales cheats. Because I believe a lot of times that's what our competitors feel that we have done to them. We have cheated. Because all of a sudden we've applied different rules. We've applied the rules differently. We've taken a different approach to what they didn't expect. But Tilt is based on a 4-stage